You got to be dedicated.
Yeah.
You got to be so dedicated that like, you know, you're wasting your time and you got to be okay with it.
Yeah. Like,
you know? Welcome, everyone, to the Tequila Jimmy and
La Gringa Show.
where we discuss everything
And anything.
pop culture. I'm so stoked to have you guys here with us on our first episode. We thank you so much for listening wherever you're listening from. And if you're watching us on YouTube, we love you long time.
Thank you.
So please sit back, pour yourself a drink, grab your favorite recreational activity, whatever that may be, and enjoy the show. All right, so today we're going to kick the show off with a really sweet cult classic TV show that was actually kind of shitty, but we love it. And it features our favorite barbecued slasher, Mr. Freddy Krueger.
I like it. Barbecued slasher.
Yes, and we're talking of no other show than Freddy's Nightmares.
Freddy's Nightmares.
That's right, Freddy's Nightmares.
That is a pretty crappy show.
Yeah, you know, but we love it, you know.
I think that's the whole idea of a cult classic.
Yeah,
Cult
exactly.
classic means AKA it's pretty much shit, but we still love it.
Yes, that is the actual definition of a cult classic, is a movie that everyone knows sucks, but for some reason it has a following.
Yeah.
And this is one of those shows.
Hardcore.
This show, for me, was, you know, just another way to enjoy Freddy, you know? So I'll tell you a little bit about how I discovered the show, because the story in itself is a little bit funny. I remember that I was at a school carnival. I was in about sixth grade, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those carnivals where you get to dunk your teachers and throw pies at their face.
That's awesome.
You know, and I really thought it was going to be a lot of fun because there was a few teachers I really wanted to throw a pie at their face.
Sixth grade, you're like 12 years old? 12
and
years
yeah,
old?
I wanted some revenge for some of the stuff they did to me. But, you know, when I got there were rules and shit, you know, like you can't throw it at their face or in this part, you know, like there was stipulations.
Like that's exactly what you want to do. You want to like slam your teacher at 12 years old. You want to slam your teacher in a pie with a face.
Hell yeah, you do. And not only that, like, you know, they don't tell you about any of these rules until you get there and they charge you, of course. It's not free to throw the damn pies. And on top of that, you have to throw the pie a certain way. Anyway, let's not go off on the tangent of the pies. But anyway, so because I was a little bummed out that there were all these rules, I kind of didn't enjoy it. So I remember going home that night and turning on the TV and seeing what looked like Freddy doing like some, you know, really dry slapstick shitty jokes, you know.
I love his jokes.
And
stupid one-liners.
Yeah, one of those one-liners, right? Which to me looked like a 976 commercial, you know.
Oh, I remember those.
Yeah, the 976, you know.
Yeah.
Where you would bet $2.99 a minute.
You called
99
one?
cents.
You called one, didn't you? You called it, didn't you?
I didn't call Freddy, but I did call a 976 number and I got in a lot of trouble for it. I remember I used to call Nintendo Power, which used to give, you know, they used to give the cheat codes to games and allow you to like get through games when you got stuck. And I remember I called one of those, and those weren't really charging by the minute, but like one call was a lot of money, and I called a lot of times. So I remember being really comfy in my bed one day watching TV. I don't know what I was doing. And my dad like kind of barges in the door like the Hulk, and he's got the phone bill in his hand, and he's like, "What the fuck is this on my phone bill?" You know? And of course, I knew it cost money. I just didn't know it was that expensive. So I started, you know, with the
Any of those 7-6 numbers are expensive.
Yeah, I know. And I started, of course, pleading stupid. I was like, I didn't know it cost money. I thought it was free, you know, which he knew was total bullshit, you know. But anyway, I got my ass reamed for that. But back to the show, that is the first time I discovered the show. Is that night I turned it on and I really kind of enjoyed that first episode because I happened to catch it, I guess, on the night that it started. Mm-hmm. And I remember that Monsters, Tales from the Crypt, and Friday the 13th, which is another clickbait show, which I know you're fond of. Mm-hmm. I really never got into that show.
Yeah, that's how me and my sisters, that was our thing. Like every single Friday night, we would watch Monsters, Tales of the Dark Side, Freddy's Nightmares, and then Friday the 13th, the series. It was like every single, so it was 3 hours of just horror. And we didn't get horror. You know, you have to go to mom and pop, you know, the VHS, get a VHS tape of horror.
Of course.
But no, this was free.
Yeah, back then.
Free.
Or you could catch the crappy WB horror movies like Alligator, which were always on Sundays. Right after Kung Fu Sunday. You know?
But you hardly get anything. So like this was like 80s cheese. You know what I mean? Usually you have to rent 80s cheese on VHS, but
now you were getting it for free.
Every single week.
Every single week.
Every single Friday for 3 hours.
Of course, the biggest, you know, lie about the show.
Which one?
Well, there's several, but the biggest one was that you tune in week 1, and of course we have Freddy doing his thing, you know, who, by the way, the makeup was kind of crappy, so definitely not the same guy who did the makeup in the movies. But he still looked decent. He still looked like Freddy. But, you know, episode 2, you're sitting there and you're waiting, you know, for Freddy to pop up on the screen. The entire time you're sitting there, you know, and you're watching this really, really B grade or maybe even C grade acting, you know, because it's that bad. The acting was
horrible.
like, I don't know where they found these people. They might have been like free people from high school. Like, I don't know, like people trying to get into the industry and they work for, I don't know. Some of these actors are really bad. Now, mind you, the show did have some, you know, A-list, what today are considered A-list celebrities on the show. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But, you know, a little bit about the origins of the show, should I say. It was created by, of course, Wes Craven, the guy who kind of came up with the whole thing. And produced by New Line Television, which was a subsidiary of
New Line Cinema.
Right, exactly, which was the company
That's how I remember.
for the movie.
When I see New Line Cinema, I think Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes,
that's
me too.
what I remember.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, like no matter what movie's starting, the one that you remember is Nightmare on Elm Street.
Always
when you see that little film logo flashing in front of you.
That's who I remember. Nightmare on Elm Street.
It had, it was produced by Robert Shea, who also was responsible for producing all of the movies.
And that's another name I remember from Nightmare on Elm Street being on there, the credits, because you've seen this movie 50 million times. So
whose famous sister wanted her, you know, her coochie taken care of on Kingpin, you know? She was like,
Lynn Shay.
Lynn Shay, there you go.
She was
like, boy, you going to pay the rent one way or the other. Yeah.
That's so disgusting. I can't believe I just did that.
So Freddy's Nightmares ran for 2 seasons, and each season had 22 episodes, which sounds like a ridiculous amount of episodes to produce per season. Most shows don't have that.
Not only that, like the first season, right off the bat, if you think about it, they're like, here you go. Here's 22 episodes. Have fun with it.
Wow.
Nobody gets that.
Yeah, most shows will go like 8 to 13 episodes.
They'll grab like 13 episodes, and then if they like it, or if they see like, you know, they got a big following, then they'll sign them on for like 22.
Exactly.
But dude, this one got 22 right off the bat.
Yeah, 22 episodes, which is a lot for someone to commit to when you're a studio.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that show actually didn't have much as far as production value when it comes to like sets and budget. You know, they had very little money to work with. The show ran from 1988 to 1990, which was, the ass end of the 80s. So basically, you know.
So that's just 2 years. Yeah, 88 it started, 19. It was October. In October, it started in October of 88. And then, so it's a perfect time for Halloween season.
Yeah. No,
Perfect
I think that was completely deliberately done. It was, and I do remember that it was Halloween. It might have even been a Halloween school carnival. Now that you say Halloween, I think I had a costume.
See, that's why you got me, because I'm the brains. I'm the brains.
You know what? That totally just brought that back. I totally forgot that it was a Halloween event that I was attending when I discovered the show. See, that's good.
It comes full
So you
circle.
just kind of rehashed something out of my psyche.
I love it.
You know, it kind of came out of there. Anyway, let's talk about Robert Englund, because Robert Englund, you know, let's face it, he's, you know, without him, there would be no Freddy, right? So his involvement with the show came with some stipulations. When they asked him to do the show, he originally didn't want to do it because he was kind of like, I'm already Freddy in the movies. I don't want to be Freddy on TV, kind of, you know, that kind of attitude. But, you know, he was promised that if he did sign on for the project, he could direct some episodes, right? And also he was offered a shitload of money. So he's getting all his dough, you know, and then he's getting the chance to direct, which is probably something he always wanted to do. you know?
Instead of, they get him a direction thing and everything. But what they decided, the plot line, if they're not going to do Freddy, as the character for all the Freddy's nightmares, they're going to have to give him something. So he's like, give me some direction. Give me some episodes to direct, because they can't star him in every single show. That's going to be so expensive.
Yeah.
He's going to be super expensive. So instead of like having him be the star in every single one of the shows, they decided to come up with like an anthology series, like an anthology following the longs of Twilight Zone and Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah, yes. Alfred Hitchcock Presents. I mean, there's a few that, Tales from the Dark Side would be another one of those.
So instead of like having Freddy be the main person, and he, have a cast of characters, and then the cast of characters every single week somebody gets killed, that's pretty boring. That would be pretty darn boring. I would think it would be boring. Yeah. So instead they got a whole cast of, new cast of characters every single episode. And that first pilot, they had Freddy B, the main character in the thing.
That's basically how they hook you,
Oh, absolutely. And he didn't direct that one.
And
you know who the director of that first episode pilot was?
I know who it was.
Ding, ding, ding. Who is
Toby Hooper.
And if you guys don't.
That's right.
We love Toby Hooper.
Yeah, if you guys don't, who doesn't know who Toby Hooper is? But, Toby Hooper.
Explain for the people who don't.
Who don't know who Toby Hooper is. He directed Poltergeist.
The first Poltergeist, the original
OG Poltergeist with Heather O'Rourke, and Craig T. Nelson. And he also is responsible for one of the most, in my opinion, one of the best horror films ever made. And that's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Hands down.
The original and the second one. Those movies, like the first one, it almost feels like you're watching a documentary and all this stuff is really happening to these people. So
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And he's just an amazing visionary. He also directed one of my favorite B-side movies, which is Invaders from Mars.
I love that.
I really love that. And I'm also a huge fan of the TV show Amazing Stories.
Oh yeah, we watched every
single one. We binge watched that.
This guy's got every single
I got
DVD of everything.
Yeah, I got like my own video store. I've been
Jimmy's
because I need to watch things when I need them. So it's like I'm not happy with just having it on. I have to have it like now.
And Amazing Stories with Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg's like the whole entire thing was his, and Toby Hooper again.
Yeah, Toby Hooper directed a few of the episodes for Amazing Stories.
He's so good.
For those of you who have never seen Amazing Stories, I know this is not about Amazing Stories, but
you have to watch it.
You definitely should check it out. It's a great anthology type show also, where you have different things happening in every different every
Steven
episode.
Spielberg.
Yeah, and it's Steven Spielberg. Of course, you can't go wrong.
The special effects on that.
Yeah, he also Toby Hooper also directed some of the Salem's Lot TV show, which I'd never seen. Have you?
A couple episodes here.
See, I've never ever seen. I didn't even know there was a Salem's Lot TV show.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, I didn't even know that at all until recently, of course. And of course, he also directed an episode of Tales from the Crypt, which is one of the best, in my opinion. If you like horror and you like, snippets, because it's not a movie, it's a great show to watch.
Yes.
Anyway, so let's talk about some of the episodes.
Yeah. Well, first, Robert Englund, he got to star in, like we said, the pilot episode. That was the first one. And then again in the second season, he started in the first episode again. It was like, I guess, just to draw us in. Like, I swear he's going to be in this whole thing again. No, he's not. So he was in a total of 4 episodes. So in exactly. In 44 episodes, he was only Freddy Krueger 4 times. And then he directed 2 of them. And then, of course, you got every single one of the episodes. If you ever watch, the sets are kind of really super, super basic. In the first couple of episodes, it's good, but then it's so bad. Remember the airplane one that he directed, Cabin Fever?
Yes, Cabin Fever.
The set on that was horrible.
It was just and not only that, the whole thing. I think doesn't the guy die of a heart, an overdose or something?
An overdose. Yeah,
an overdose.
He was dreaming about He did an overdose on it.
He dreamt about overdosing, and then it really happened.
Yeah, he just kept taking pills. He just kept taking pills in his sleep. It was just
the whole damn thing does not make any sense. I gotta be honest. But
it was
anyway.
great. But yeah, the shitty. I mean, when you come from the bad plot lines, but it was so good. I mean, it was.
What makes a show good is that it was bad.
Yes.
Because the show was so bad, it makes it good, and I know that makes no sense. I know it makes no sense. But take my word for it. It's one of those shows where you watch it and you know you're watching shit, but for some reason you're enjoying it.
It's the same with it's all 80s.
Yeah, exactly.
Sex and murder.
And
sex,
drugs. Yeah, and drugs.
And drugs.
Yeah.
Sex,
and, you
drugs.
know, it had probably some of the worst writing you can have on TV as far as what plot lines could go, because everything had to be, of course, based around, you know, the dream aspect or the supernatural type aspect when it came to, you know, you falling asleep and something happening. You know, a lot of the episodes had to do with that. Not all of them.
Because there was someone with like Lori Petty. Lori Petty was in one.
Yes.
And she's the one she was playing. She was Tank Girl. Mm-hmm. Tank Girl.
And she was also the annoying bitch in A League of Their Own.
The sister, Kit.
Yes.
Kit, the annoying sister. The younger sister.
The one nobody wanted to bang. Yeah, that was her. So anyway.
So the one, I think, you know, I think her episode was like kind of like a possessed object type of thing.
Kind of like Friday the 13th, the series. I'm gonna let me touch on something on Friday the 13th because I think it deserves a mention.
Oh, I love that
even in
show.
Even in this podcast.
He's not a fan.
That was clickbait.
I know he's not a fan.
All right, that's because at least Freddy showed up.
That's true.
In Freddy's Nightmares.
Yeah, Jason had nothing to do.
You know, again with Jason, it was.
Oh my God!
But there was never an appearance. So no. Jason, that's misleading.
This is true.
That show should not have been named Friday the 13th.
But I love it. I love the show.
Yeah, fine. I understand. Yeah, it's more like, you know, it's more like The Conjuring. You know, it's like you have a shop, you know, and these people had the Haunted Museum, the Warrens, and they have all these possessed items. Yeah. So you think of that, but in a store.
I know, like it wasn't anything to do with, like at least with Freddy's Nightmares, it was done in Springwood. You know, every single episode had to do something with Springwood or Elm Street or something like that. Where Friday the 13th, the Curious
Friday the 13th had absolutely nothing to do with Friday the 13th.
You had Curious Goods, the antique. You had Frank Marshak. You had Mickey and Ryan, and of course, I love the show. I love the show.
I don't.
I thought it was cute. I'm gonna make them one day watch every single episode. Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a lot of. A lot of that.
Hey, if you'll watch, I'll take it. But like I said, at least you know, Freddy's Nightmares, they were in Springwood. It made, you know, at least they tried.
Yeah, they kind of tried to keep it real.
Tried to keep it within.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is with that show.
And it was low budget. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And you know what? They did manage to pull some famous people onto the show. And of course, they weren't famous at the time, which is why they did the show.
I know, you're not going to get no famous people doing Freddy's
nobody
Nightmares.
Famous would have done that show. Would have been the end of their career, you know? Because, you know, the writing alone would have been enough. You read one of those scripts and you know that there was a lot of cocaine involved when you read that show. There was a lot of shit going up people's noses who thought that they had written, you know, the next Academy Award winning show. Okay, so
yeah, it wasn't like, you know, you got, you know, your favorite TV show,
The Twilight
Zone.
Yes.
It hasn't like beautiful. Oh my God, the writing in that is amazing. The set is
it's Rod Serling. There's somebody with a brain behind that. You know
then you got the opposite.
Then you
Freddy's
have the coked out Pookie heads from the '80s. You know, it's a different thing. You know, not that everyone was like that, but you know, that show definitely, there was definitely a few people on some kind of substance,
and
right?
they were like, "Yeah, this is great."
And then the
man.
people up above in the higher ups that okayed the stuff to be made were also intoxicated, which is fine. I don't care that.
All they cared about is it going to make me money? Is it going to make me money? Is
this going to get us paid? And the answer is hell yes. It's got the name Freddy on it. It's got a Nightmare on Elm Street.
We watched every week.
If you could put a caterpillar walking across the screen and call it Freddy, and somebody would tune in. Would they watch it again? Probably not. Mm-mm. You know, which is why, you know, the show ultimately failed. In my opinion, the show ultimately failed because people tuned in, they saw Freddy Krueger, and then all of a sudden, you started tuning into other shows, and you were like, maybe Freddy will show up in the next one. And then maybe Freddy will show up in the next one. And then, okay, I've done this a few weeks in a row, but you know what? This is going to be the one. This is going to be the one.
They did do like that, a nice arc from when they did the pilot episode.
Yeah.
With
by the time you saw Freddy again, you know, you had aged. Something, you know, something your pubes grew in or something. I don't know. it was the type of thing where I think, didn't he show up not getting the second season, like this for the second time?
Well, like I said, the first season, you did the pilot episode. Remember where it was the parents got together and then the cop.
Yeah, that's a really famous episode.
The cop kills, Freddy. That's when they set him on fire. So then I think episode 7 or something like that, they had where the cop's daughters, then they start dreaming of Freddy. So they do an arc, and it's like later on in the thing, but they do bring it back, and it was kind of cool that they kind of brought it back.
Yeah, but
around.
you specifically, did he come back in season 2?
Yeah, he did.
So that's when he came back.
Yeah.
So he did the pilot, the first episode, and then he didn't come back again until season 2.
Correct.
So there's 22 episodes in a season, ladies and gentlemen. 22 episodes in a season. And he was in the pilot, which doesn't even count as one. And then he was in No More Mr. Nice Guy, which is the very famous first episode.
That's the first episode.
And then you get Freddy again, 21 episodes later?
Yeah.
22 episodes, because he doesn't come back until the beginning. And just conveniently enough, he happens to come back on the first episode of the second season to be like, hey, we're back with the show, season 2, and guess who's in it? Freddy's in it this time. So, of course, we're like, all right, let's give it a shot. Maybe Freddy will be in it this time. Maybe they're not lying to us. You know what? That in itself. No. Lies. No.
No.
A whole lot of nothing is what we got, unfortunately. Okay? So, I still enjoyed the show, but the fact that Freddy wasn't in it was a big bummer. It did draw a lot of stars,
Yeah. The biggest star, Brad Pitt.
Yes.
Brad Pitt was in it. Brad Pitt was in this
He
one.
was in an episode that was actually pretty memorable, which I still remember.
I liked his hair.
Yeah. He it was the very, very beginning of his career. Mm-hmm. So he's definitely, if you ask Brad Pitt to do this show today, he'd probably laugh in your face.
I'm like, Freddy Krueger, I'm not doing it right.
But he did it. And,
but he did it.
Yeah, he did it. And he's probably the biggest star that was on it. For
biggest star, I was going to say, the biggest star for you.
Yes, for me, there was a bigger star than Brad Pitt. I could give a fuck less about Brad Pitt. I am stoked that Jeffrey Combs was in it because I'm a huge fan of the film Reanimator. Mm-hmm. And he was Dr. Herbert West, the guy who reanimated shit. He killed the cat and to reanimate it.
Yes, that was cool. You were excited when he was in the episode.
When I saw him,
you're like, hey!
That was like the big,
he was super excited.
For me, that was, the big moment. Okay. Anyway, who else? Lori Petty, we talked about. She was in it.
Yeah. And then Mariska Hargitay. She was in it. I know Olivia Benson. Everybody knows her as Olivia Benson this day from Law and Order SVU.
I have no idea who Olivia Benson is.
He has no idea. He's never seen SVU, which she is so great. What he does remember, where he would remember Mariska Hargitay, is from Ghoulies.
I was too busy.
She was in Ghoulies in the beginning of her career. You remember her.
I don't remember.
Remember
definitely.
her
in Ghoulies, I do remember her. I'm just
I know, you're messing with.
I do remember her in Ghoulies.
I know, it's pretty
She
crazy.
looked a lot different, though.
Yeah, she's like, now she's got highlights in her hair and she's got the hair. Well, maybe she's got a short hair now. I don't know. But all I know is back in the day in the 80s, she's got the big hair.
Yeah. One thing about Freddy's Nightmares is some of the episodes are really hard to sit through. They're really, really hard to sit through.
No, you got to be seriously, like you said, a cult classic.
You got to be dedicated.
Yeah.
You got to be so dedicated that you're wasting your time and you got to be okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we've watched the couple of episodes and everything, maybe twice.
Yeah. And some of them are, like I said, some of them are very, very hard to sit through.
Yeah, I think Monsters actually was better.
Oh yeah, Monsters was way better. Tales from the Dark Side was light years ahead of it too.
Yeah.
But this show wasn't meant to be one of those shows. This show, in my opinion, was produced to make money.
Oh yeah, it was just a money grab.
I don't think they ever thought about quality.
No, because they didn't even put any time into his makeup or anything. Right. I mean, look at, for instance,
it was always, if you look at all the shots of Freddy and Freddy's Nightmares, he's usually they're casting a dark shadow on his face.
Shadow.
Yeah. So
he's turned around. You only see the back of his head. It is not like, let us bring us to Jimmy's Wonderful Toys here. It's not like they put more thought.
Yeah, there's more thought in this little. There's more thought in this little sculpt right here than they put into the thing. And speaking of toys, I'm going to take a little bit of time every single show to show you guys, because I'm also I'm a big toy collector. Okay, extensive. Like I have a huge collection, and mostly everything. It's 80s toys.
80s. He doesn't not collect anything with like 2000 and up or 90s and up. Or
so
something.
I want to show you guys this guy right here. This is the Mezco 112 Freddy Krueger. This is just one of the ways that you can pose him with the glove cutting off the finger and the green
from
blood
like from the first episode or from the first movie when he's in the alley.
Yes,
and he cuts off his finger when Tina is in her little dream, running down the alley, and he's got him in that pose, which I love. That's my favorite pose. My favorite pose that he does, because he comes with heads and hands,
3 different heads. He comes with
tons of accessories,
different gloves. He comes with different faces. There's one face where you could take his face off and stuff like that. So
when she pulled his his face off and he had the skull.
Yeah, exactly. That face came with it too. So this figure I highly recommend. These things are not cheap. All right, they're probably like $100 a pop. But the articulation on them is ridiculous. You can actually move them around
and pose them for pictures and
anything
stuff.
that you want. And then when you take close-up shots of them,
I love it.
They look really good. By the way, if you're listening to us on a streaming service and you want to see this figure, please go to our YouTube channel, Tequila Jimmy and La Gringa.
La Gringa.
Yes. So that you can find us on YouTube and you can watch the video of this podcast and actually check out some of the stuff that we have here. I'll show you this other figure I have here is the Freddy Krueger from McFarlane Toys. This was done probably 15 years ago. About 15 years ago. He released a line called the Movie Maniacs, and he released Michael Myers, Freddy. He even released Norman Bates, Chucky.
Yeah, but to explain to them why poor Freddy doesn't have all his.
Yeah, so as you can see, Freddy has only 2 of his 4 knives on his glove.
It's not the toy. The toy did not come.
The toy did not come like this.
Like that.
What happened was when my children were young, they were throwing something around the house and they knocked them off my shelf. And I heard him fall and I asked them, what happened? And they're like, oh, he fell, but he's okay.
He didn't break.
And I said, he didn't break. Everything's fine. And I said, oh, wow, that's awesome. Okay, don't worry about it. And actually 3 days ago, I just found out that something actually did happen. He lost 2 of his knives. So they must have, thrown it away and just pretended nothing happened because they're like,
he doesn't look broken.
By the time he finds out, he won't be mad anymore.
I know. And how is this 15 years later? And you're not mad anymore.
I didn't even know until, a little while ago.
You always say, hey, kids, you want to know? Yeah. Always wait to tell your parents anything you did wrong. They don't care. They don't even care anymore.
Yeah. The more time you can put between what you did wrong and when they find out will help you out greatly.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, my sister, I don't even know if I told you, she hit me over the head. She hit me in the head with a Cabbage Patch Kid doll. You know those big?
Oh, shit.
They're heavy. She's on the top bunk. I'm on the bottom bunk. She swings it, busts right into my nose. We did not tell my parents.
I don't know why I love this story so much.
She jumps in the bunk.
I don't think I should have done this.
She's like, don't go
I don't think I should have.
Mom and Dad.
I don't think I should like this as much as I do.
I know. She totally broke my nose. And no, I did not tell on her. I promised I didn't tell on her.
Yeah, we don't. That's bro code.
I think my mom is finding out right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom. Sorry, Vicky. Sorry.
You finally ratted her out.
Totally ratted her out.
Yeah.
My bad.
One more thing I'm going to show you guys is you're probably wondering what the hell this is. This is a bootleg. Is what this is. I picked this up at a convention.
Can we get in trouble?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Bootleg.
I really don't think so. But anyway, this is a bootleg copy. Freddy's Nightmares, every single episode. And if you can tell it's a bootleg because of the way it's packaged. It's like they care about a few discs and then they say, fuck you to the rest of them. They just put them in some shit and you throw them in the box and they're like, good luck. No professional DVD company would do this.
See, only I know this. Only I can tell this. But the wine is hitting Tequila Jimmy. I could tell. It's
kicking in. Normally,
this is why we call him Tequila Jimmy.
It's Tequila Jimmy, but it's not always tequila.
It's not always
in the cup.
tequila. No.
No.
I have to give props. I have to give props. to the wine. The wine is called Big Six, and it's a bourbon wine.
Actually, I don't even drink this kind of
No,
wine.
he doesn't drink
I
red
hate
wine.
red wines that are dry. I like sweet red wines. This one tastes good. I mean, and what's the lady's name?
Belva.
Yeah.
Belva.
Belva.
No, Belva with a B. Basin boy.
You say it, Belva. Yeah, Belva. I love you, Belva. If you watch this video, I love you.
If you're listening, we love you.
I really do.
We visit her every week.
This is a lady who works at the Total Wine, and every time we go in there,
she has a
she
tasting.
always has like this tasting booth, and she knows so much.
Oh, she does.
And everything that she's ever given us, there's never been one thing that she's given me that.
We walk in now, and she's like points to us, and she's like,
exactly. She's like,
"Come here, guys." So yeah, and she's always. I would tell her all the time. He does not like dry. He does not like dry. But this time she's like,
get over here.
Come here. I know you don't like dry.
Let me school you.
Here, take this. And what she said was, there was like 4 bottles in one bottle. I think it's like,
this is some strong shit. Like it's got me a little, woo.
That's what we call him. See, this is why he has the nickname Tequila Jimmy. I always love to call him.
From 0 to 60.
He gets a little rowdy, and I'm like, woo, Tequila Jimmy's
out.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So yeah, enough about the wine. What was it called? Big Six?
It's called Big Six, and I think it's like bourbon. It's like bourbon whiskey wine. I don't know, which is weird.
Send me a check, Big Six. I just gave you a plug. Anyways,
so let's
talk about why the show was canceled.
Well, I did kind of dig a little bit because I wanted to know why it was canceled. I mean, besides the fact that it stunk and it didn't have a following,
right? And that Freddy wasn't in it. Let's face it, that had a lot to do with
everybody was pretty upset.
Everybody was pretty like, even if they didn't want to put Freddy in every episode, I get that because that would get boring too.
I know, but I already had my idea. Like they could have gone if they wanted to have Freddy be a character, but they probably didn't want to pay him the money. They
would have cost them. They would have had no budget to pay. Not that I don't know if the other actors got paid because if the other actors got paid, the production crew got ripped off, and that's the wine talking, by the way. That's not me. Anyway, yeah, I feel like they shouldn't have that those performances were just really bad. Like
I know. It was just like, so we think that like that the production and the actors and everybody got like 25% of the budget,
and the rest of it went to Robert Englund. Like for him to do his little, because he used to do like one thing I haven't mentioned, ironically, is that he used to do all the little snippets, like bumpers between the show going to commercial and coming back from commercial.
Yeah, just like the what was it, Crypt Keeper? The Crypt Keeper did?
Very similar to
kind of like
very similar to the Crypt Keeper.
Wisecracking.
Exactly. He would do his little wisecrack, little one-liners, and that's about all the Robert Englund they could afford.
You know what? Right? That's a cheater brand right there. The Crypt Keeper is a cheater brand of Freddy. Freddy was the one-liner guy.
Yeah, they can't. Well, you know what? He was the OG for a lot of things. I really think that, he inspired a lot of things when it came to
he was
TV shows. Even though it was bad, the show was bad, but he kind of like,
he's got the personality. Do you know what I mean? Like Michael Myers didn't talk. Jason didn't talk.
I would love to see a Halloween TV show, and I think, and I could be do not quote me on this, but I think I read last week that they were in the works producing a Halloween TV show.
That would be the dumbest thing. What is he going to be?
No,
like the last
Michael
movie?
Myers. Now,
he's going to be a Ninja Turtle.
I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Myers was in the first 2 episodes and then we don't see Michael Myers till the second season.
He's in the sewer making friends with people.
Yeah, that was some dumb shit.
That was the dumbest movie ever.
Yeah, anyway, that was some dumb shit. Like, I'm
anyways,
sorry.
So let's go. So anyways, the reason why it was canceled, and I did not know this, is that once it was picked up by Warner Brothers, they syndicated it. And in some areas, they put Freddy's Nightmares on during the day. During the day. Now, if you ever watched it, there's a lot of sex. There's a lot of sex. Almost where it's like, what were our parents thinking letting us watch this show when we were like 11
nobody
years
cared
old?
about that shit in the 80s.
They didn't care.
To be honest with you, like, I was watching.
But they were doing it during so they made it for the daytime. So, of course, sponsors were like, they started pulling sponsors. sponsors started pulling from the episodes or from their sponsorship or whatever you want to call it. And then no sponsorship.
Yeah, well, because they
lower
lost
budget.
The ratings were going down, so the sponsors were pulling out because they were paying for ads that weren't generating any money. You know, so and like anybody would do that. You know, if you're paying money and you're not getting any phone calls, you're gonna pull out.
You're not making any money. Nobody wants to advertise during. That's the big thing. They're not getting no money.
No, yeah, it's all about the dough. It's all about the greenery.
Exactly.
You know, unfortunately, that's what makes this world go round, which I hate. You know, I really hate that about the world. But anyway, another thing we can discuss real quick is how the actual, like, what we would have done with the show. Like, I know me. I probably would have gone into some storyline about the time that Freddy was murdering children.
Yeah. Like I was thinking, take it before, like way before kind of me. I would do like how he grew up.
With it,
That's what I'm talking about.
Where Robert Englund was out of makeup and he was his normal self, which I know they did that later in other movies. And, there's a few shots of him doing Freddy before he was Freddy. But I think that this would have been a good opportunity to use a TV show with multiple episodes. Like a lead up to
Imagine
what it would have been. You just got to imagine like what it would have been if we would have seen Robert. And now, mind you, it would have cost the studio a lot of cash, no doubt. But I think it would have been cash well spent.
Oh my God.
Because it would be like a legendary show today.
They would have made so much money had they shown, to me, I think, if they showed Robert Englund or Freddy Krueger,
It would totally be like a legendary show. In my opinion, that show would kick some serious ass.
And they could end the show with the parents burning them up. That could lead into the movie.
In the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, if I remember correctly, they did go into his backstory a lot.
I'm not a big fan.
But I'm not a fan at all of that movie.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of things I don't like about it.
We'll discuss it later, but I'm very vocal about this and I'll bring it up like while we're just sitting there watching TV. But I like how they went with Freddy Krueger being a child murderer. I was not happy what they did with the new guy. They kind of just made him, I don't even want to say it.
Yeah, he was a molester.
I don't even like that.
Yeah,
that's not Freddy.
Yeah, so
Freddy's a murderer.
There were many things wrong with that movie. One thing I hated, I'll tell you one thing I hated a lot about it was like, I don't know, it kind of has like a teeny bopper feel to it, which the original movies didn't have.
Yeah, see, I never watched
I know there were teenagers getting murdered, but it didn't feel like I was watching like a teeny bopper movie. And this movie felt like I was watching a teeny bopper movie where it was like all about picking the best looking actors and, the best fucking tits that you can show and all these things.
Well, you know what? You got to, we'll get into, in different podcasts about, the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, but you got Johnny Depp and,
Yeah, no, I know. But,
Anyways, we got
what I would have done with the show would have simply been to tell Freddy's origin story from way before.
Tell Freddy's story.
Yeah, and what drove him to do all the things that he did.
What made him who he is.
Whether he was a sicko in the head or whether some childhood experience made him do these things.
Absolutely. I would not like that. They would have made so much money.
Up until the point where they could have used in 2 seasons with 22 episodes of Pop, right? That's 44 episodes if I could do some math. So if that's the case, in 44 episodes, you could tell a really, really good really good origin story.
If you really had good writers.
Up until the point that he gets burned, or maybe even burn him like halfway through the second season, and then have the last part of the second season be more Nightmare on Elm Street-ish, where he's Freddy and he's killing people, and how he goes about killing people in their dreams. How did that happen?
Yeah,
all these things. So
how he got the power. It was like like Chucky.
Think about the show.
He was
about the show that could have been.
Yeah.
That would have been an awesome show.
Yes.
But I understand why they didn't do that. And it all comes back to cash. You know what I'm saying? It's like it would have been way too much money to pay Robert Englund.
Yes.
To do 44 episodes of the show. A. B, it would have been hard to convince Robert Englund to do this because, actors have a thing where they don't want to get typecast. And they don't want to be known, even though, he probably...
I don't think he doesn't care.
I think he does.
Well, he was in V.
Maybe he doesn't care. He was in V prior, but the thing is, I think that he didn't... He cared at the time. I don't think he cares now.
Yeah.
So now Of course, I think he would do it totally. You know, he did a few other TV shows where
you hear
he's
that,
done.
Robert? If you want to, call us up. And we got a story for you. We will hook you up with a great story.
Yeah. Anyway, for real. So it's like, you know, now I think he would totally do it. But anyway, at the time, he was a young actor and he was in a part of a really successful franchise. And he kind of said, you know, this is not all I want to do with my career, with my acting. I want to do something else.
I mean, yeah, they give him directing.
Yeah,
he directed too. So
but even in front of the camera, you know, because it's one thing for him to be behind the camera. I think he always wanted to do that. But I'm talking about in front of the camera. Yeah. For him to be in front of the camera, he didn't only want to be known or as Freddy Krueger, even though I would be honored to, because, and I'm sure he is as well today, to be honored as one of the most memorable screen slashers of all time.
We still see him at the cons, you know, the horror conventions.
And he's the nicest person in the world. I cannot say enough good things about him. He literally takes his time with every single fan. So like when you come
laughs and talks
and jokes with you.
He loves to talk.
He's
that
not the type, you know, some of these other celebrities will like totally be all high, like, here's your fucking autograph, get the fuck out of my face type of thing.
Like what's his face? Hooper.
No, not Hooper.
What's his name? From Jaws.
Yeah, that's what the fuck are Dreyfuss. Richard Dreyfuss. He was like Richard Dreyfuss is like that. You'll walk up to him and he doesn't, you know. And I don't want to badmouth Richard Dreyfuss. I really don't. I do. I don't like him. I know. I can tell you from experience that the guy is not a nice guy. We might talk about it later. But anyway, back to Robert Englund. Robert Englund.
I know we're going off in these tangents.
He sets
Tequila Jimmy.
the tone when you walk up to him, and he really like makes you feel good. Like you don't feel like you're like, you know, of course you're paying for this autograph.
Yeah, he's a really nice
mind you,
guy.
back when I met him, he wasn't charging that much for an autograph. Now he charges a lot of money.
Oh my God, he's got the autograph.
But the thing is, he needs to, and I'll tell you why. Because if he didn't,
it was like $120.
His fucking line is like around the fucking block already with the crazy price.
It is.
So if he was charging less money, he would be there for 3 days trying to sign everybody's autograph.
I know.
So, you know, it kind of makes it, you know.
I know the only money I had was I got one autograph, Nancy's mom.
She was cool. I like her too.
She was really nice.
And Nancy was cool as hell.
Nancy's really nice too.
Yes, she is. She was
Heather Langenkamp.
Heather Langenkamp, yes. Okay. Very nice lady. She loved my tattoo on my leg, which I'll show you guys someday. Yeah, but I do have a really cool Freddy tattoo.
He will just put a picture on.
I'll put a picture on right now as we speak. It's going up.
Flash it right here.
Yeah. There it goes. But
as you see on the podcast, we're talking because we are also showing this on YouTube. So we'll have images on the screen.
Yes, be sure to tune into YouTube as well.
Absolutely.
If you're listening to this and you're interested, of course, in what we're showing because of, you know.
Yeah, if you want to see us.
Yes, of course. Who wouldn't want to see me? Look at me. Yeah. Anyway, no, you really tune in. You got to see La Gringa. She's stunning.
Stunningly stupid.
But anyway, yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we want to wrap it up right here, and I don't want. I think we had a good time here talking about this show.
It's our first episode.
I hope you guys had a great time. We will be coming back at you real soon. We're going to try to get an episode up at least every other week.
We already have 2 planned. We got the Twilight Zone.
The Twilight Zone is definitely
That's
next.
his favorite one. We're going to
because
discuss.
I have a lot to say about the Twilight Zone.
And then, of course,
and you're going to want to hear what I got to say.
And then the other thing I can't wait to discuss is Canon Films.
Yes, the Canon Films.
Canon Films.
And those of you who aren't familiar with Canon Films, you definitely want to.
You got Kickboxer. Yes. You got Electric Boogaloo. You got what's your favorite?
Bloodsport, of course.
Yeah. So yeah, we want to talk. And
Electric Boogaloo is way up there too.
Electric Boogaloo is great.
Yeah.
All right, but
anyway, guys, you guys take good care. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're so stoked to start this podcast for you guys, and I really hope you enjoyed it. And more than anything, we really hope you'll be back. All right, we will see you guys again.
Thank you, guys.
Peace out.
Can I say word to your mother or Vanilla? I assume.
Yeah, I think we'll probably get a cease and desist for that. Take care, guys.